Hey everybody, happy Friday. You are here with Ad Age's creativity team, and we're going to take a look back at the best brand ideas of the week. I'm Anne-Christine Diaz, creativity editor, coming to you from Los Angeles, and I'm here with
Alexandra Jardine. I'm coming to you from London.
And Ishan Sherwood coming to you from New York City.
So this week was kind of, I don't know, heavy. Do you think? It felt a bit heavy to me because it wasn't this week, but our RBG died, which was, very sad and horrible. The fires are raging in California. We had an earthquake, which added to the Armageddon feel, the madness of the elections, the pandemic. Feels like it's all coming down.
We hit 200,000 deaths here in the US, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in London, we're heading right back into lockdown and everybody's very depressed and being told to work from home again.
Yeah. So what a way to kick off this show. But, to take us away from all that, we're going to celebrate the best ideas, the ideas that have made us smile or surprised us. So, we wanted to share those with you, bring a bit of light to your day, your week, your weekend. So Alex, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. I'll kick it off. So at number 5 this week, it is another ad from our friend Ryan Reynolds, who seems to crop up continually in the top 5, but deservedly so. This time it's for Aviation Gin, the gin brand that he owns. And as families jump into the chaos of virtual schooling, he came out with a special edition, the Homeschool Edition, which is a jumbo size bottle of gin. Or as Reynolds says, it comes with more ounces, and it can help with a variety of school subjects. Let's take a look at the spot.
It's back to school time, which this year has a whole new meaning. That's why today I'm introducing Aviation American Gin Homeschool Edition. It's just like the classic, delicious aviation gin that you love, but with more ounces. It can help with a variety of subjects, 4th grade geography, whatever the new math is, and revisiting your own long-forgotten middle school traumas.
Middle school is the worst.
So before we dig into that one, I just want to remind everybody out there who's watching to give us a shout out in the comments, and we'd love to say hi back to you. So tell us who you are, everybody. So this one actually really, really resonated with me because homeschooling really got real this week. It got super serious, and it's hard. Other parents I talk to, it's impossible. And during virtual classes, for example, sometimes the mutes will go off in various households and you can hear the other parents screaming, and I'm totally guilty of that. So this really spoke to me. And what was interesting to me about this one was that they didn't come out with this homeschool edition. They've actually had this large bottle of aviation gin since January. And so basically, Ryan Reynolds once again jumped onto the cultural moment and used that as an opportunity to plug this offering that aviation has. So it was just so,
Yeah, he's so good at tapping into the kind of the zeitgeist and the mood of everybody, and it's kind of similar to what he did with the Peloton wife earlier in the year. But this one applies to every parent everywhere who's been struggling with school.
Yeah, it's so smart. Like, this is just a handle of gin. It's 1.75 liters. You can buy handles. I mean, if you're not buying your gin in a handle, what are you doing? Like, get serious about your gin drinking. And they took a thing like, and you said, they already have it in the catalog. You can already buy it, and you just rebrand it in a funny way. Like, no one's feeling tricked by this, right? Like, haha, homeschool edition. Ryan Reynolds has given me permission to clutch this while I take a nap.
When I saw this, this morning, I was thinking about it. Can liquor brands do that? Can they tell you, this is how you can wash all your anxieties away with an extra large bottle of our product? And I guess not, but perhaps because it's online, there are fewer restrictions.
Right, online only, yeah.
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 I mean, it's interesting messaging that we've been seeing from a lot of brands, which is basically like, drink irresponsibly, because right now everything's falling apart, and what else are you going to do? And like, cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
Maybe it works now because few people are actually getting in cars and driving. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So, yeah. And if you're homeschooling, you're obviously not like dropping the kids off anywhere. So maybe indulge a bit.
Yeah, I think maybe he can get away with it because, it's an edgy brand. It's got that reputation for comedy, whereas a bigger, more mainstream brand might get into real trouble for giving that message to us.
Yeah, and you not only have the aviation brand, you have the Ryan Reynolds brand, which is basically he's just Deadpooling aviation gin. This is like his brand of humor, and it works perfectly with this. What surprises me too is that we have seen so much advertising from him like this across a variety of products now, and you'd think you would get sick of it, but I don't. Like, I'm still surprised by what he's doing, because it's almost like he's picking the right moments to tap into. And
yeah. He's been busy this week because apparently he's buying a UK football club, a very small fan-owned Welsh football club called Wrexham FC, together with the actor Rob McElhenney. And according to the story on BBC Sport, it says, so far it is unclear why the Hollywood A-listers are interested in a fifth-tier UK football club in North Wales. So who knows? But I think it's that whole kind of thing of supporting the underdog, doing something a bit quirky. It's
called Wrexham? That's the team? Okay, that's going to show up in the advertising somewhere.
Yeah. Alex, can you pick that apart at all? Like, if you looked into your crystal ball, what do you think is happening?
I don't know, but I think it's quite trendy for Americans to be interested in small UK football clubs at the moment. It's not the first time I've heard of that.
Huh. I can't wait to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and it's Ryan Reynolds, so like, who gets tired of him? More content, please.
Yes, more. Keep it coming.
All right, so speaking of keeping it coming, at number 4, have you ever seen some Black people nearby who are just bothering you and wondering if you should call the police? The answer, of course, is no, you should never call the police. However, Color of Change really drove this point home with a new PSA called the 912 White Emergency Hotline. Let's take a look at it.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello? I am being threatened by an African-American man, and he's near me and my dog, and I feel very unsafe. Would you please send the police?
Are you a white woman, ma'am?
Yes, I am. And this man, who is African-American, scaring us.
Hold on, I'm transferring your call.
912 White Emergency Response. All right, ma'am. Karen, is it?
Yes, how did you know?
Try to remain calm, Karen. Just stay on the line and I'm going to help you. There's a long history of white women making false accusations against black men and boys in this country, calling on the racist power of the state to threaten, to terrorize, to kill them in the name of defending the purity of white womanhood. You might not know that you know what you're doing, but you fucking know what you're doing, okay? If the cops weren't racist, you wouldn't have called the cops, right? You still with me, Karen?
Hello?
Okay, just stay put. We are sending help. We have units in the area, and they should be arriving now. Thank you for calling 912. Don't ever fucking do it again.
So, and then it goes on. We get a little bit from Lewis Black as an operator. As you saw, there's Craig Robinson, Sarah Silverman, who's done PSAs sort of in this vein before. She did the whole thing a few years back where she was basically telling like Jewish New Yorkers, call your booby in Florida and tell her to vote for Obama. You know, so this is sort of the usual cast of characters, but there's some cool Easter eggs. W. Kamau Bell is on the bench, but he's reading Marie Kondo's The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which is just like the least threatening book a person could possibly read.
Yeah, like I said, like we opened with, it's such a dark time, but it was so just wonderful to get this piece of comedy, you know, this beautiful, well-crafted comedic message, you know, just reminding us how horrible certain things are. But it was just, to me, it was powerful. Like, you know, show them with humor.
And then you get Sarah Cooper jumping in here on the end as Sheila from HR. And I don't know, is this the first time we get a new phrase for a male Karen, a Kieran? I'm definitely adopting it.
I know, as somebody told us, poor Kieran Culkin.
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to be rebranded now? Yeah, and poor all the Karens, the nice Karens, the good Karens of the world.
Yeah, but I feel like there has to be a male version of Karen, because one criticism I've seen of the whole Karen thing is that it's a bit sexist.
Yes, true. Kieran. But like I said, the comedy on this was great. It was excellent. You know, a lot of celebrity PSAs we've seen, you know, that like sometimes they're just the talking heads, people looking serious straight into the camera against, you know, white psych. But, you know, this piece really made the most of everybody's performance abilities. So kudos to that. That was awesome.
Right. It was smart. It was smart to go the sketch comedy route with these particular talents because they're all very good at it.
Yes. I'd like to know the backstory, how everything, they were all assembled to make this. And I couldn't tell. It almost looks like it was a pandemic. Well, it must have been a pandemic production, right? But it doesn't feel like that. It was
right. I mean, when was Central Park Birder? When did that whole fiasco happen? Because I mean, the first sketch is, you know, basically a shot-for-shot remake of that entire debacle.
Yeah. Better production though. So before we go on to our next one, we have some shout outs. Alex, you want to read those?
Sure. So we've got Jason from San Rafael, California, Azar from India, Laura from Los Angeles, Christian from Louisville, Chris from Virginia, Maya from Towson, Maryland, Alexander from Orlando, Agath from West Village, NYC, and Shane from Jamaica. Hi, guys.
Hey, all.
Hey, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. So at number 3, yet another celebrity ad. This week, we saw the showdown of the millennium, courtesy of Uber Eats, answering, you know, space nerds all over the universe. Uber Eats brought together the worlds of Star Trek and Star Wars when they brought together Mark Hamill, aka Luke Skywalker, and Sir Patrick Stewart, aka Jean-Luc Picard. to face off about what they're going to have for dinner. So let's take a look.
Tonight, I'll be eating a veggie cheeseburger on ciabatta. No tomatoes.
Tonight, I'll be eating 4 cheese tortellini with extra tomatoes.
Stuart, so it's come to this. Thank you.
Bravo. Careful, Hamill. Daddy's not here to save you.
Oh, I am my daddy.
Come again?
Wait, what? You said Daddy's not here to save you?
What are you talking about?
I'm not sure I got that right.
This is so crazy. Like, of anything for these two to come together over, it's Uber Eats.
Yeah, and isn't it the first time that either of them have ever been in an ad?
Yes, apparently. And that was created out of agency Special Group, and directed by Guy Shelmerdine of Smuggler, who, had an interesting story about the production. One of the funny anecdotes from that was that he said Mark Hamill was a little nervous about offending Sir Patrick Stewart, this esteemed actor. So basically, Guy and Patrick Stewart had to take him to lunch and convince him that it's totally, British to take the piss out of each other or something like that. So that was a nice anecdote. And also what I thought was interesting about this, he also said that Mark Hamill was concerned about preserving the good guy image that he has. He's Luke Skywalker. But I mean, I think he's evolved from that, right? He's also been an awesome bad guy. Like he voiced the Joker in a Batman cartoon. He also played a bad guy in The Flash. Okay, now I'm revealing
He's the voice of Fire Lord Ozai in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's done a lot.
Yeah, and even in the more recent Star Wars films, I think Luke Skywalker got quite dark, didn't he?
Yeah, he got all cantankerous.
Yeah, grumpy old man.
Yeah,
not just a farm boy anymore. But it's nice that there's so many more fandoms in this rather than just Star Wars and Star Trek. We've also got the X-Men series. Of course, I'm also wondering, like, when did this confrontation take place, right? Because obviously Star Wars happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, whereas Star Trek is 400 years in the future. Right? The timelines don't match up. It doesn't make any sense.
They entered like a black hole or time warp or whatever.
That's true. Right. Could be red matter. Yeah, that's a good point.
Wait, so okay, in real life, if they did have to actually face off, who would win? Because Mark Hamill has the Force, but Patrick Stewart probably just has phasers, right?
Technology that looks like magic.
And also, who do you think got the bigger fee for appearing in the ad?
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a good one.
I think this is really more, does a cricket bat beat a baseball bat? Which one has more reach? I'm not really sure.
But ultimately, it's all going to the point that it doesn't matter. You can fight as much as you want. Each of you can have what you want because Uber Eats will get the meal you want to you. So
this is also really smart because, like, when you're ordering with someone, takeout, whether it's Uber Eats or, just regular pizza or whatever, everyone's sort of like deciding, oh, let's have the same thing. But if you just order each your own thing from a different place, Uber Eats gets twice the fee. So it's a really good way to sort of like double their money on the same kind of order, the same meal.
So they can afford to have celebrities in their advertising.
Yeah. If there's another showdown, who would you want to face off if they continue this?
Ooh, that's a good question.
They could get Joan Collins and Linda Evans back together. Dynasty.
Are they both still alive?
I think Joan Collins certainly is.
That would actually be really funny. Okay, so should we move on to the next one? Oh, we have some more shout outs. Alec or Ishan.
Yeah. Hey. we've got Scott from Ontario, Canada, Dina from Jersey Shore, Felipe from Bogota, Colombia, Josh from Toronto, Mick AS from Ethiopia, Anne from Napa, California, A. Boudou from Delhi, Chris from Ohio, and Jose from Sacramento, California. Hey, everyone.
Hey, from all over the world. Thanks for watching.
Hey. Okay, shall I move on to number 2 then?
Yeah.
In second place this week, we have a project from Kraft. Now, it's that time of year, well, at least in the US, when the world becomes smothered in pumpkin spice. And this year, Kraft Mac and Cheese decided to get in on this with its own cinnamon nutmeg offering. They are giving away 1,000 boxes to people who sign onto a waiting list. And it's a project from the Canadian agency Rethink. It started in Canada, but I believe it's also going to the US. Let's take a look at that.
I don't think we have a video.
Oh, okay.
Can you zoom in a little
We
bit?
have some pictures of the pack, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually put ads outside of coffee shops to promote this, which was really interesting, and further digging into the whole pumpkin spice universe, like fully embracing it.
Right, the pumpkin spice cinematic universe. I love that they blurred out the Starbucks logo, like we don't know what shop that is.
Oh, what's also interesting about this? So 1,000 people in Canada are getting these, but so they have the product, but it's also packaged with a mug that is like a coffee cup, and your name is on it, but your name is spelled wrong. Just to make the experience even more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is like another cool example of, like, I guess it's kind of product design that we get from Rethink. Right? They did the Heinz bottle, where they didn't redesign the bottle. They just they changed the labels to tell you at exactly what angle you hold the ketchup, right? And now it's like, hey, everyone's doing PSL. Let's I don't know, let's put it in the mac and cheese. Why not? Like, Canadians are the Mikey of North America, I guess, right? They'll eat anything, so let's try it. And not to be outdone, Americans, I think, are going to be clamoring for it, if nothing else, to be ironic, because I'm sure it tastes terrible.
Yeah, well, Americans are gonna get it because what's interesting about this, within 2 days of this coming out, the response was so great that Kraft decided to bring it to the US. So now Americans can participate in a US version of the contest by tweeting to Kraft Mac and Cheese. You guys can see the full information in this story when it's fully out, and then on adage.com/creativity. But what you mentioned about Rethink, what they've been doing with Kraft is so remarkable. Earlier during the pandemic, they were also behind the all red Kraft Heinz ketchup puzzle, to torture all those under quarantine or people under quarantine looking for a bigger challenge.
I should get that for my sister. She's one of those like puzzle nerds who, if she finds a puzzle too easy, she'll turn it face down and do it that way.
God.
Yeah.
I didn't know that those existed. No, but that was another idea too. That started out in Canada, and it was so popular, it got picked up everywhere. So Kraft Heinz took it, I think, global. So that's the power. That's interesting what marketers are doing now. If they see, I guess it's been going on forever, but when one idea does well in one market, it makes sense to bring it to a different one. Also, when this campaign first came out, for those in Canada, you had to get on a waiting list. But when you get on the waiting list, you go online and you actually have to answer some questions. And some of those questions were like what kind of Kraft mac and cheese or Kraft Katie, what is called in Canada, would you like? And it was asking, you know, would you like a smoky version, for example? So I think it was a way to do a little bit of consumer research as well, which I thought was really
crafty.
Here's a little homework for everyone who's watching. Before next week, just make your own pumpkin spice Kraft dinner. Get Kraft mac and cheese, and then add some cinnamon and nutmeg. Eat it, and then let us know next week what it actually tastes like.
Yeah. I was actually going to try that this weekend.
All right, so before we move on to number 1, there are a couple of others that didn't quite make the top 5, but we'd like to talk about a little bit. And the first one that I thought was interesting was work from Diesel, which basically, it doesn't lament the fact that you can't go anywhere right now because the pandemic has shut everything down, that you can't go on your surf trip to Bali or your yoga retreat. It's sort of leaning into it. And now you can get branded jeans that say the name of the thing that you were going to go do, but weren't able to do. So let's take a look.
Dude, so this summer, we're going to an incredible surf camp in Bali, riding those perfect waves.
A holiday, my kind of good time. A holiday, out in the sunshine. I'm dreaming of unforgettable days. We'll take a trip to the seaside. We'll go surfing all night and day. Rise up in the morning just to catch a wave. We'll have a holiday. We'll go together. A holiday. I will remember now and evermore. Unforgettable day.
I think this did a great job of making quarantine seem fun. Although I was like, nobody's wearing a mask. I hope they're all in the same pod.
I thought this was an interesting idea, but it did make me wonder, like, would anybody actually want to commemorate 2020 in any way? Because I think, personally, I'd rather just forget it and not think about the things that I didn't do.
Yeah. And it's kind of a little bit of a downer, like the things you didn't do. I guess you could customize it with the things that you did appreciate about 2020, if there was anything, right?
I think these will be useful collector's items in the future, because obviously you're not going to be able to customize it next year. So get your jeans now.
So what else did we like, or that was interesting?
Twitter had an interesting campaign. We've talked before about there's so many PSAs and so many brands talking about masks and how to get people to wear masks and trying to convince people to wear masks and trying to make, mask wearing seem cool. And like, what are the tools or the tactics that you use? And Twitter just like, it's doing the thing that it's done before. We're just going to make billboards of tweets, right? We're going to turn new media into old media.
Yeah. So essentially, it took the voices of everybody and opinions of everybody about mask wearing and broadcast them on murals, a barge in Miami. So it was kind of like, try every sort of tactic, try every sort of message. One of them said, masks, research says that if you wear a mask, you're more attractive. Or, some used humor, like, this is my trikini or something like that. And it continued, a trend of what Twitter has been doing, taking the voices of its users and putting them in its advertising. Because it did something, an earlier campaign put people's Black Lives Matter tweets on outdoor advertising. And that was really impactful as well.
Yeah, I think it's smart that, you only really need one message that really resonates with a person to get them to wear a mask. And if they see others that don't resonate with them, they'll mostly just ignore them. So like, you may as well try a scattershot approach.
Yeah, and it's kind of flipping it as well. It's making mask wearing a positive rather than just telling you to do it for safety reasons or to protect people.
Yeah,
which we haven't really seen.
One thing I've seen, and I have no idea if it's effective or not, but like the mask ads, I guess, that I've actually liked are the fashion ones, where one, it's like, okay, I'm going to put on a mask because it looks cool. Or they have a message, like Naomi Osaka was wearing masks with the names of Black people who have been murdered by police. And then also I've seen artists who just, even before the pandemic, they're mask makers, right? Like, for costume balls and things like that. And they've taken like big crowns or like, feathered headdresses and just incorporated an actual mask into the design. And so now you can just walk around the street like it's Halloween all the time and look really cool while you're doing it while still being safe.
Yeah. Pinterest actually had a campaign a while back where it was showcasing all these like really elaborate, gorgeous designs from various creators. And it's interesting to think about the role they serve, the role they play now. Because 2 years ago, it used to look strange when somebody was walking around wearing a mask. In Asia, it was more widely used, I think. Like, I lived in Japan for a while, so people would just wear them when they were sick so they wouldn't spread their germs to other people. But here, when you would see it, it would just seem so strange. And now it's just amazing where we are right now.
Yeah, but masks can be really beautiful as well, and particularly in things like opera or the acting world, they can be something really creative. So it's interesting. I've got two sons, and when they were told that they had to wear a mask, had to take a mask to school, they had completely different attitudes. The older one was like, "Oh man, do I really have to? I can't stand wearing it." And the younger one, who is really into acting and drama, was like, "Great, we get to wear a mask. I can get some really fun ones." And so he was just totally into the idea.
Yeah, it's great.
So I think you can make it a positive.
Yeah.
Tony Stark wears a mask all the time.
Yeah, superheroes.
To continue our nerding out. And speaking of adornments, that brings us to our number one entry, which is Ruth Bader Ginsburg's lace collar. We decided to give this the number one, maybe inspired by all the tributes that we saw this week. There were some amazing covers and artwork that came out paying homage to RBG. State Street Global Advisors, Fearless Girl, for example, McCann, came out and brought her back, but wearing an RBG type lace collar. And that appeared in a tribute ad in the New York Times on Sunday, I believe. And then the Washington Post came out with its, all its coverage on the late Supreme Court Justice's life and death. And it had online, it had a gallery of artwork paired with her words, some of her famous quotes, but it also had a special section in the paper it opened it with a piece of art from Adele Rodriguez, who we've come to know as an artist who has created a lot of protest art against President Trump. We've seen his Time covers that call the president out for various things, but this one for RBG was to completely honor her. And he actually created this a decade ago, and the Washington Post went back to him and said, "Oh, can we bring this piece of art back and use it?" And that was gorgeous. People took that image and put it all over Washington, D.C. You saw it on social media because it's such a powerful, simple piece. And then also the New Yorker came out with its cover, which featured simply the collar itself.
This one was my favorite because it repurposes the collar, right? It uses the feminine symbol, tessellated, to remake the collar, which, most of her most important work is, in the field of women's rights.
Yes. And also, there was a New York Times piece about her collar, and it was interesting. One of the reasons she first decided to wear one was to assert that in the role of a Supreme Court justice isn't just a male role. She wanted to actually bring a bit of femininity to the position and embrace that. And, what's remarkable about what she did with the collar, she made it a symbol. It's a distillation of what she stood for in a way, because when she was writing her opinions, if it was a majority opinion, she would wear the lace collar. But if she was dissenting, she would wear something a little more like armor, basically, to assert her opposing opinion. And I thought that was, that's such a powerful statement. What she brought to that, she made this piece kind of an extra spokesperson in a way, or I don't know. It's kind of like, we know Steve Jobs for his black turtlenecks, or anyone who's used their clothing as a branding device. But for her, it wasn't just a branding device. It was something that symbolized justice, or her view of justice. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, her death was such a wound that, at least so far, it feels like pretty much everything has been a tribute rather than like a co-opting. I think, it would be very dangerous for a brand to try to make a big kind of statement using RBG right now. And so I think it's smart to just sort of like, lean into her as a symbol rather than, as a sort of another cultural commodity.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't there a bit of blowback as well on the Fearless Girl thing? The fact that it is the Fearless Girl is sponsored by a brand. It is made by a brand, State Street, and people are still a little bit kind of iffy about that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw responses on social media, when we posted that, reminding people that of the brand behind this idea and its history of, the treatment of women. But I don't know, it's a tough discussion. I know, Yishin, you have thoughts about this, but in my mind, this Fearless Girl has kind of transcended brand, being part of a brand to become the symbol. And I think that's kind of how the general public embraced it. It didn't tie the statue to a brand. It was tied to a moment.
I think a lot of people are probably unaware of what brand it's associated with.
Right,
Yeah.
or that she is an ad, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am on the record as disliking Fearless Girl, so.
Yeah. But so speaking of Fearless Girl, we actually did see something very similar to that for another campaign. You want to tell us about that one, Alex?
Yeah, so there's a UK campaign by Netflix this week promoting the new show Enola Holmes. And since that's about the sister of Sherlock Holmes, they put up statues of the sisters of famous men like Charles Dickens and Thomas Hardy and Mozart. And they made statues of the sisters and then put them next to the statues of the famous men. And the point being that these sisters were also very impressive people that achieved things in their own rights, but because they were female, that wasn't recognized. And people had thoughts about this. Some people said it was kind of copycat of Fearless Girl, particularly with the stance of the statue. And I know our art director, Tam, also had some thoughts about the execution, saying that he didn't think it was particularly well done, and the sculpture could have been better. But I thought it was an interesting idea. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, it is interesting, but it's so close to the Fearless Girl idea, like the stance. they could have made her bigger than their brothers. Like the stance is so like that. But maybe that's tapping into the fearless girl mindset. I don't know. Is it borrowing an idea or is it stealing it? I don't know. But I did watch the movie and I loved it, actually. Any more thoughts about Fearless Girl or the work from this week?
I mean, I could do an entire episode just on Fearless Girl. So maybe right now is not the time to do it, but maybe someday in the future.
Yeah, that's a whole separate show. Maybe people can weigh in with their comments.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for this week. I hope you all have a great weekend. Thanks again for joining us. And tune in to adage.com/creativity for more work. And if you want to see more about what we talked about today and see the full credits, take your phone, snap the QR code, and it'll take you right to the piece wrapping it up. So thanks for joining us, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.